witnessing the specimen known as This Is Comedy. Hurry, step right up. Get your fake news here. AI-generated deep fakes. Rug pulls. I got rug pulls.
You want the key?
What's going on, people?
You sure you want to be free?
I almost skipped this week.
Come here.
Yeah, this is a solo episode. If you were hoping for a guest, not sorry to disappoint you.
There's the key. The key to the universe.
I don't have a whole lot that I want to get into today. Not really. You know, I want to talk about whatever. Who wants to keep talking about the war in Iran? Fuck, every podcast you turn on, that's what it is. George Carlin said it best. A shit show. We all got front row tickets, baby. Anyway, I did end up having some time, so I decided to say fuck it. I don't think this episode's gonna be anything special. I've been telling everybody, I've got some type of podcast fatigue. I really do. And I'm not trying to be down in the dumps, but after seeing last week's numbers, there's been a fall off. Fair enough. Look, I'm not Shane Gillis, man. I don't expect to be your favorite person to check in with, but to the people who did, I appreciate you hanging in there. The whole purpose of this is to have some fun. You don't get to have much of that now. It seems a little stripped away. And I'm not the type of person to bitch and moan anymore. It doesn't serve any purpose. There's no deeper meaning to being in the sinking ship with everybody else and saying, oh, this sucks. Yeah, it does. You don't want to ignore the obvious. I'm not implying that. It's just, there are times when, if you can't control the outcome, the only thing you can do is control how you're going to handle it. The result will pretty much be the same. How do you want to go? How does any of us want to go about our day-to-day? I see a lot of people taking breaks. Dalton's off. I'm sure that's left a chasm for people. Paul and Doug taking a little sabbatical. Why not? Life is too short to throw away hours, and the returns are diminishing. If anybody wanted to ask me the worst case scenario for allowing this podcast to fizzle out and considered a complete failure, I'm giving it to 100 episodes. That's how stick in the mud I'm gonna be with this shit. And if I'm able to get some authentic viewership out of that, that will let me know I should stick around. I'm gonna let the people decide if I should be here. I feel like I should be here. I don't want to claim that to be the ego talking. I don't have one of those, really. You know, we all like to stand up for our shit or whatever, but I'm just being honest. I don't see myself as one of these people who, oh, I'm the greater. At the end of the day, everybody's got an omega to their alpha. But that's not what I'm implying. It's just when I say that I belong here, it's a feeling. I've seen the potential, and this feels good. A lot of us don't have much at the end of the day. As you get older, we all go through the same transformation. It's funny how I kind of wind things together, threading the needle. Anybody who's listening to this right now, you are going to die. And before you die, you're going to watch everybody you love disappear from your life. And in the end, you'll be lucky if you have some grandchildren and maybe a couple of people who know you enough to remind you of who you are. If you start to lose your brain, your ability to remember anything starts to deteriorate. I did want to talk about this, funny enough, because, you know, every week isn't the Recap Ben's Life show, but I'm an avid fan, have been for a while. Anybody who fucks with my channel knows this, so I don't mind taking a moment to speak on something that was interesting to me. I didn't get to participate in the entire show, and to be fair, I missed out on a really good one. I was just beat. That's the cost of a hard week. Last week was a little different because I celebrated a birthday. It's during my work week, so I'm able to shuffle things around. Because I shuffled them around, the consequences of that are I had a tougher week than normal, and now this next week that I'm going to be dealing with is going to be a lot to handle. I mean that. Especially tomorrow, Monday is going to hit like a bag of bricks. A bag of bricks and black dildos. Double-donged, ribbed black dildos at that. Ben was talking about, pretty deep into the episode, most of us want to leave something behind. And even if we are forgotten creating it, what we've created will outlast us. That is the idea behind having a kid. Most people eventually recognize, I'm not going to say everybody, because there's people who dig their heels in completely and say, no, the bloodline ends with me. There will be no seed spawned from these veins. My cum will not splash your innards, miss. So imagine a guy walking into a bar talking like that. Is that how they used to try and get pussy back in the medieval times? Just going into some shitty little tavern, some pub, if you could call it that. It was really just a hut, some wood and hay on top of it. Oh, show me some ankle, you wench. Get the I wonder all those guys were dying in their 20s and 30s. I remember a while back, not to completely veer off, we'll get back to the Ben shit, but and no disrespect that, you know, if this friend in particular, I don't think it'll ever reach his ears, but in the off chance that his ass happened to listen to this shit, if it did reach him, no offense to you, man. You know, this is just it's just life. But I had a good buddy back in the day, and you know, you have people from where you originate in Michigan, and then when you leave, because I went to the West Coast for a good 8 years, and trying to get back out there. Not gonna lie, this war with Iran really complicates shit, but I don't know. You got get with the getting. That's the only thing I can say. But man, I'm stoned. I did a dab, gonna admit, before I started, so I might have just lost that for a second. And that's how it be sometimes, guys. I've had some tasty shit the last couple of days. I switched up to a different brand. They have some interesting strains like Detroit Diesel and some other ones that I actually know. I wish I had gotten more of this one strain, but what are you gonna do? And see, just like that, I come back to it. See, there it is, the old boomerang. The bob and weave, as Trump calls it. My friend, he had this little philosophy behind him. And it was just an interesting take, you know, a post he made long, long ago in a distant land. He wanted to return to a time where we didn't wear shoes like our ancestors and run through the woods freely type shit. And look, I'm all for fun and idealism, trying to resonate with the nature side in people's soul. Cool. But you gotta point out to somebody, we do absorb things through our skin, our hands and feet, our primary sources as well. That's why when you get cold or warm, it's a lot of the time depending on what's going on with your hands and feet. That's not to say that if you only have your hands and feet covered and then you go out into sub-zero temperatures, you're going to be okay, but I think a lot of people have seen some of the crazy dudes, the Norwegians and Swedes and shit. They've got videos where they're just out walking in the Arctic in a pair of fucking boxers and shit. It's just crazy. Yeah, I want to, you know, have a little empathy for him, but I can't. His heart's in the right place, but you gotta go in and be like, yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure we developed footwear not because we wanted to pull back from our connection to Mother Earth, but because we were sick and tired of stepping in shit and spiky plants and fucking, you know, maybe step on a scorpion by accident and it fucking stings us and now we're dead because we don't know how poison works back in the retard times. We barely understood fire. You think we understood what we were doing to our bodies as we're absorbing everything our feet step into and then not washing them for fucking sometimes weeks? Our ancestors were dirty, disgusting people. Plenty of comedians have talked about that in the last 10 fucking years. That if you think pussy was worth getting back in the day, no, that's why men warred so much. That's why we innovated so much. No joke. Because, yeah, women were beautiful, but then you get that pussy one time and you remember it smelled like salmon season, but if the fish had been sitting out of the water for like 2 weeks and had parasites inside of it, you still got in there because you were hungry, and now you're not feeling so good. Nah, you got the clap and you fucking die. I don't know. So yeah, like sometimes you can have a good idea in your heart or whatever, but ultimately that doesn't mean you're correct on any level. Some things aren't about being correct, I get that. But think about some shit before you decide that what we've innovated on is inherently wrong. There's nothing wrong with wearing shoes. Now, the whole slides with socks thing needs to stop. Unless you got some fucking weird toenail fungi, then I get it. You know, you don't want to wear a shoe, but you don't want to show people your creepy Beetlejuice toes. That's cool. I'm not mad at you for that. Go ahead and take that small little dip in your charisma stat by having the socks with the sandals. You know, people are going to giggle for a second, but then they'll move on. You'll win them back. You'll talk your way out of it. It's all good. Just be one of those people that gets swaggy socks. Go get some Gucci socks. Go drop like $600 on a pair of nice Guccis. That way nobody can talk shit about you. This is something I told somebody a while back, like a year and a half ago. And I won't dox this person's name. They wouldn't like it. Even if I said his pseudonym, he would be upset that the people who know him know I'm talking about him. But I've belonged to plenty of friend groups and circles, and these people love to tell you that they'll rock with you to the end, and then at a moment's notice, they just bow the fuck out. And people love to make you out to be the bad guy in their head. Find things to be upset at you about and hold on to those grudges till the bitter end. And I'm over here not to be in a shitty way as if I don't ever feel bad about things, but I really don't walk around with a lot of regret. I'm not over here miserable as fuck all of the time. Mostly because I've understood and accepted the nature of the circumstances in which I and others live in. That there isn't much I can do to change the fact that I am going to die. So making the most out of my experience now, while I still have time with certain people before those doors close completely, that is the priority. There are no other priorities for me. This is the closest I allow people to get to keeping in touch with me. And I'm sorry that I canceled on the guest spot for somebody, but again, I wasn't really motivated on any level to come do this. You end up talking about shit like what I'm about to go into with this guy, but I never have some type of set list. We do have an ad break coming up here in a minute for a sponsor, but that's different, right? So, remember I was talking with this guy and another mutual friend of ours, a dude who I was actually cooler with. On a different level, shout out to him. I doubt he'll ever listen to this either, but if you do, buddy, I don't say I would regret it, but I think one of my biggest letdowns with our friendship is how you got carried away with some narrative that you formed in your mind, and you allowed that to get in the way of everything we had built together as homies. You know, I'm happy that you're doing good, and you got somebody in your corner who asked them multiple times. I've said nothing but positivity. You don't get it, though. Sometimes you cross a certain line that can't be easily repaired or undid. And if you don't care enough to do anything about it, I take that as disrespect. You're basically saying, fuck you, because I'm not worth the extra minute of you saying something. Some people aren't capable of humbling themselves. They don't have the couth or the capacity to do that. So we're all chit-chatting like we normally do. We always talk a lot of shit and bust balls, exchange perspectives, because that's what friends do. When you respect each other as equals, you're not worried about the semantics of it. You're not allowing the miseries of life to get in the way of having bonds with people. You're able to communicate naturalistically, as anybody should be able to, without the pressure of competing or thinking that they aren't on the same timing as someone. And for me, I'm one of those folks who read things on a different level. When I see people busting my balls or giving me shit, a lot of the time I can read into that and see it comes from a good place. Before I just go balls deep on this story, on a side veer, that happened a lot at Skankfest, and it made my fucking day. I had comedians roasting me. That's what you want. That means they kind of like you a teeny tiny bit. You're funny enough to look at more than 1 second and then forget about completely. You get that? What you do with that moment is up to you. I chose to be present. British John was getting me the whole time at Skankfest. Shout out to British John, dude. I think I need to hit him up and ask if he wants to come on the pod. He's a fun hang. He might be a little too busy, though. I mean, he's a touring comedian. He might be a little too busy to do this bullshit for an hour for no views. I don't know, though. I've had people surprise me in the past. I've already had some really cool guests come on, so we'll see what the future holds. So yeah, we're having this conversation. And we start talking about wearing clothing. And he's just going off about, oh yeah, dude, I love going to Walmart and getting me a little graphic tee for $5, and if you're wondering why I'm doing this voice, that's who he sounded like. We would tease him and call him Bobby Hill. And I'm just being receptive and listening, but at the same time getting ready to say, how do you think people see you in the world? Not that you should really care too much. I don't mean that what people think should bother you all the time and you need to conform to other people. No, I don't mean that. What I tried to tell him was phrased in the spirit of, it's perfectly okay to like what you like and be who you want to be. However, smart people, and maybe that's even too derogatory, I don't know, but smart people, people who don't want to have any trouble in the world, and they recognize what's around them. They can read the room. If they're a fan of Mickey Mouse, and they don't want to get teased by people for being grown and wearing a Mickey Mouse t-shirt, the only thing you can really do to minimize that as much as you can, and it's still gonna happen, you'll have, if we're just talking exclusively the comedy world, high-level comedians will give you shit no matter what. Everything is an opportunity. Even if you look dope as fuck, they're gonna turn that around on you. Like, look at this super fly motherfucker. You know what I mean? I just see people get eviscerated for not understanding. But there's nothing wrong with liking Mickey Mouse and wanting to wear a Mickey Mouse shirt, but you need to have like a Gucci Mickey Mouse. Do you understand where I'm coming from? You need to have like the Dior Mickey Mouse. You need to have like a $2,000 Mickey Mouse shirt that nobody can give you shit about. Now look, that doesn't make me a brand whore. Au contraire. I do not like to spend top bill. If I ever rock something that expensive, I promise you I've gotten it through different means than walking into a Dior store. When I had my Dior jacket, I didn't get that from the store. I paid $10 for that bitch. Real Dior. Looked like $1 million when I wore that shit. When I had my Giorgio Armani full suit, I paid $10 for that. Back in the day, I was trying to set up a big music event in Las Vegas. I won't go too into the details because it never went to fruition, and it doesn't really matter too much, but those were the kind of moves I was making in my early 20s. I was walking around with the ability to negotiate on behalf of other people who had giant names. I will say ties to Eminem, if anybody wants to be that curious. I'm not saying I know Eminem. Please don't take it out of context. But what I was doing, the nature of it was tied to the umbrella of Eminem's network. That's probably the best way to put it. It would have been great. It's too bad it never happened. But I was walking around in a Giorgio Armani suit. Because false opulence, sometimes you need to play the part. And that's the truth. If you really want to know, I've got some of my own shit that I'm not gonna let people take me down for, but I don't have anything that high level anymore. I just don't. I could if I wanted to chase it down. I'm not that interested. I've been there, done that. Now I have a couple brands that I really do fuck with. Broken Promises is one of them. I'm not really as sponsored by them as I used to be, but they've sent me free clothes in the past. And I like them because they're a California brand. You know, everybody's just importing their shit. So I'm not going to sit here and act like they hold themselves to a higher standard. But their designs interest me enough. And yeah, I've got a lot of shit from them. There's a couple other companies I like, you know, Pink Dolphin. There's this newer one called The Boys. I fuck with them. But do you get what I'm saying? It's just, you can't be walking around in a Teletubbies shirt. You could as a meme, but if you're in your 40s and you've got a Teletubby shirt on, everybody's gonna think that this is your day out of the asylum with your family. That you're on activity with your family. And then just like, you know, Borat's Brother Bilo, you know, you're going back in that cage after the whole affair. That's tough. And he did not take kindly to me saying this. He got very offended trying to defend the honor of Walmart, and I get it. I do. It's hard to have somebody tell you that's probably not a good look for you, that people are probably going to look down on you, and you can say that doesn't matter, but if you knew you could get more in life just by taking a little bit better care of yourself and showing others you're willing to care about yourself, you'd be surprised what doors open or how people treat and talk to you. If you look like you're a fucking bum, how do you think most people are gonna react to you? Not how you want them to treat you. How do you think they're gonna treat you? If you look like a dirty, stinky, fucked up, potentially insane bum, they may not even serve you. They'll tell you to get the fuck out, or they'll call the police while they're going for their can of bear mace like they're Dog the Bounty Hunter. I am the dog, the big bad dog. That's a real fucking crime against nature right there. Fuck that. Yeah, it's funny how people get. I guess that's my point. Now, I did mention we got a little ad read, so we'll cut the main track down here. And, I don't know if you guys know, but there is a brand new album that is coming out. It's a really funny little album. I'm actually impressed. And, I don't know. I forget what it's called. I think it's one of those Now That's What I Call Music compilations. And, yeah, it's got a lot of your favorite songs. You know what I mean? Like this old Bob Dylan ditty. How many loads must a man suck down before you can call him a fag? And of course, we all remember this classic from the GOAT, Cher. I mean, you know. Do you believe in having gay sex and gay sex and gay sex and gay sex? I can feel something inside my ass. I really don't think it's long enough, no. And I mean, it's got other great classic records like this one from Sade. Having gay sex. Having gay sex. I wouldn't want to blow in women. Embarrassed to say I am fucking gay. Make me anal gape. You won't catch me coming. And you can pre-order this amazing collaboration of some of the best hits that you've ever heard in your fucking life. But you have to act super duper quick, because there's limited quantities. So if you want this brand new Now That's What I Call Music hit release, you're gonna go to www.stupidfuckingbitch.com and enter the promo code This Is Comedy. That is going to make you my indentured servitude person. You'll be a serf, and everything you earn will become mine. And doesn't that sound great, right? You know, awesome little for a little bit of music. So don't forget to use that promo code, and yeah, it can be yours for the sweet pre-order price of everything you have forever. your soul. Alright, now we're back to the show. That was a fun little ad. I'm cool with that. Hell yeah, dude. You know, I would play the applause track right now on the soundboard, but I don't have the proper mix pulled up on it. That's how this one works. It has, you know, different pads and settings, but unfortunately for me, you have to hit a specific button to shuffle. It's a lot to explain. One thing I really wish you could do with this, maybe you can and I haven't figured it out yet, but I'd love to learn if the pre-programmed sounds that came with it, I am able to overwrite and add something else in there. Because it just amazes me there is a functioning soundboard with pre-set built-in sounds. That reminds me of the early Cumtown days. Not the super early ones, but you know, when Nick finally got that soundboard. And Stav just cackling like a horny hyena. Adam sounding like he's choking on a peanut. Yeah, the other big thing that's happened recently, there's those of you that feel it might be an angle, and I'm gonna shout out one dude in particular, Leighton, trying to see with his third eye. This is the kind of shit I want to see. It's the kind of deep state psyop shit that I was calling out during the Jeff Dye situation. Trying to give people some perception on that. You know, that maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe we need to kind of refocus things a little bit. But at the end of the day, I don't have any control over what people do. It's not up to me. I can't make decisions based on other people's lives or pretend to know what anybody's got going on in their head, because some people are just ridiculous now. You know, you can't have a conversation or accomplish anything, and people will tell you what you want to hear or lead you to some false conclusion, and I just won't play along with people. That's the point of no return for me, because I've had enough of that. There's no room in my heart left. I mean, God, when I look outside, we're going through a fucking hellish snowstorm. And again, as unfortunate it is that the Jeff Dye situation, the way it's played out, I think a lot of us can kind of say fairly now, this is not what we were expecting. I don't think anybody had this grandiose plan of Ben losing his channel, Lemon Party getting taken down. I don't think anybody planned for this. But this is one of the things that can happen. When you go against the grain and you're not trying to be like somebody else, you don't pull your punches. I mean, we've all gotten pretty comfortable at a certain level. We don't care anymore. We stop giving a fuck. There is no risk too great for us. I see that every single day. People being pushed to the edge, and they don't give a fuck anymore. They don't care. You're not gonna stop what I'm trying to do. That's been very true for Ben, Devin, and Jace. I'm glad Hate Watch hasn't been affected. That's something that's striking me as odd a little bit. Strike me down, Zeus. But that's struck me as odd. Not that I'm trying to fan the flames on that. I don't want this to happen. But isn't it funny that Hate Watch has been left alone? Even though, Devin and Jace are very much involved in Lemon Party. Somehow they dodged that fucking bullet. And good on them. That's really the only place left to go. I gotta start showing up more on those videos. It's not like Devin needs me, but I do feel like I could be a little more supportive towards him, even though I'm a fan of his. I should go on record right now just for the Lemon Boys. The first person talking about Yakub during the Lemon Party days was not Ben. It was actually Jace. If many of you go back and remember, I won't tell you what episode. But like I said, I've been listening to old premium content. Just going through it again. Because a lot of good shit is there. There's plenty of good bits deep in there. We've got the version of Ben who, I don't want to say he's still recovering, but even though this is something he wants to do, he's still very much trying to find his footing in the whole situation. Which, props to him for being willing to do it. But something that really made me smile, because you guys know I have a little moniker, and this just goes back to my old days when I fancied myself as maybe a video game streamer, and then I realized I didn't want to do that. Really didn't want to do that. I don't want to hate on anybody doing it, but I'm not trying to do that. I like what I do now. I don't like the idea of sitting there for 6 or 7 hours, even though I will go hang out and watch the show with Ben. There's people that do what he does every single day and for double the time. That's not a shot at Ben either. I'm just letting you know that there are people where if it's not on stream, they're not doing it. That clavicular guy that everybody's getting psyoped into, he'll tell people, what's the point of doing it if it's not on stream? Everything I do is on stream. I have to monetize every aspect of my life. That's insane. Or you could just go to fucking Whataburger. Shout out to Vandal, go get those Whataburger figures. You could just go to the beach and not stream it. Not everybody wants to be seen on camera. I'll see those reactions. Somebody pops into a gas station and a dude almost gets knocked the fuck out because he doesn't get it. Yeah, this is what you want to do and you're a free person, but this realm of streaming is starting to cross the line where people feel like their personal rights are being violated. That we all exist in a public space, and now this recording shit is getting out of hand where everybody is doing it all of the time. Before, when you wanted to take a picture or something, you needed to have a little handheld camera. Even before the digital times, you needed film, and you had to get set up, and it was very obvious that you were taking a picture. Now, motherfuckers could be recording videos walking around with the new Google glasses. You get what I'm saying? It's not the same playing field as it once was. So I get anybody's apprehension and shit. Because who wants to deal with that? Who wants to be in this world of you're never off or you don't have private time to yourself? You need to be the one who's in control of how you're seen in the world. You know what I mean? That is why we have homes and they're not just glass walls that people can see through all the time. We're not creatures in a zoo. We're just trying to live. But yeah, I just don't have the time for that anymore. And this takes a lot of work. But it was cool that Devin is a big fan of those old Opie and Anthony Patrice rants. I'm sure he was a fan of the Black Phillip Show. I think Devin's a funny dude. That's why I have the low-key clip. Low-key, man. We ate a Honduran. It's just so on point sometimes. So yeah, just been reminiscing a little bit. And you know, we're coming towards the final stretch of this episode. I don't have much gas in the tank left anyway. And I will figure out bonus content at some point in the week, I promise. You know, shout out to the 2 members that I have. You know, the membership is supposed to come with some perks. However, there are some provisos, as Jeannie would put it. And if you're not here for the right reasons, there's nothing that says I have to do anything for you. I do want you to keep that in mind. I could just, I don't know, defeat the purpose. I could record 1 second of a bonus if I wanted to. There's a reason I don't, though. I have some professional integrity. You want to be able to at least have a product for people to come back to. Like I'm able to do with Lemon Party shit. Life's too short to be frustrated. Smoke a bowl, do a dab. I don't drink, but drink some brew. I like to think once in a while I'll drink socially. I did not drink a drop when I was at Skankfest. Do you know how much free alcohol was available to me? I didn't have a drop. Not a drop. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. Just not a fan. People had good shit too, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've sipped on expensive shit. It doesn't impress me. I don't care, you know? Not a beer guy. I don't really do vodka. Not anymore. I don't think I've had vodka in over 15 fucking years. When I did drink, you know, a good whiskey. I hate the dudes that say bourbon because, brother, it's the same diff. And that's just like how we call football soccer, so that we could have another kind of football. We don't want to just be uniform. That's why we have a different whole metric system, right? That's why we measure degree differently. We have different speed readings and shit. Because we don't like to be like everybody else for some reason. There's something wrong with having some similarities to the rest of the world. I don't think you come to America to forget where you came from. America's supposed to be, at least now, not before. Before it was just a scam. But now it's supposed to be a place for everybody to exist. That we took at its core what the founders did want to do. The good intentioned ones. And we're doing the best we can to have people of every different color and creed cooperate together. And when we are working together as a people, we get some amazing shit accomplished. That's the bottom line. There are people out there who want to stir the pot and act like it's all a hate parade. And that feels fun. I do get that. It's fun to feed that little little monster in you. Is that all you are, though? You got anything else in there? I would hope so. It doesn't take much to have a decency to you. And I know there's going to be a couple people out there saying, oh, that's rich coming from you, Andy. Yeah? Is that why complete strangers who I've never met or talked to are blocking me on social media? I go to a post and I'm like, oh, this guy's comments are blocked out. I wonder why. He has me blocked. Never met the dude in my life. Not gonna say his name either. Doesn't matter. But I can at least say people I don't even know are fucking blocking me on social media. I must be doing something right. Because it's just straight up controversy. That's not even somebody who wants to be like, you fucking suck, dickhead. They're just completely blocking you out of the equation. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, or if I took down one of your heroes, or I said something away you didn't take well. Bummer, man. That's a big bummer, and I'm sorry, little bud. You feel better now? I hope so. Because I just can't keep giving a fuck. I really can't. Take this shit with a little bit of grace. I still gotta go tomorrow and deal with this insane snow fiasco and try to battle that for the next couple of days. I look forward to my weekends. I get 3 days off. It sucks because I've missed out on some opportunities because of how my schedule works. I'd have a couple Losercast episodes if I had just had my shit together. Hopefully this one does better than the last. I can't always track why an episode title doesn't bang. I thought the Billy Mays story was good content. But the people that were listening, I look at the retention rate and I see you are watching for a majority of the video. I really appreciate that shit. Thanks for sticking around. I mean that. I know I already said that at the beginning, but I appreciate the couple of people that do stick around. You know, it's tough to put yourself out there sometimes. Bro, if you don't want to leave a like or a comment on your main YouTube, please just go make another YouTube or something and leave me a like and a comment. If you just don't want to associate yourself with me publicly, but you like my shit, take the time to fuck with me on a real level. Because I got people in the shadows doing the most. And look, I think it's funny. But I just can't understand why people would fuck around with the dumb shit. When we do return next week, I'll have a guest. Maybe more than one. That's about as much of a hint as I'll give anybody. There's still people I need to reach out to for scheduling. It's not easy doing this one-man band podcast shit. I can see why I'm stoned. I can see why Dave does the scheduling. You know, Cornfed probably works a lot easier because Dalton isn't overwhelmed with trying to wear many different hats. I wouldn't mind having another show where it's co-host situation. But I'll let somebody approach me with that before I try to ask somebody. I respect what people got going on. Too much. Don't want to self-insert. You guys have been great. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Looking for love, walking hard. See the tears fall.